Today's webinar is all about the graduate application process, the university shortlisting, SOP, resume, LOR, and a very important point of building your research profile. And then we will let you know a little bit something about our Videsh LTM program. Okay, we will be posting a complete recording of this webinar on our YouTube channel, so you can refer it later on. And whatever questions you might have, you can start asking them in the chat, and we will respond to you as we can. Okay, and so today's webinar is all about these topics. So let's get started. If today is your first webinar of Videsh, let me give you a quick insight into what Videsh is and what our mission is. So Videsh is founded by three co-founders, Dr. Raj, Dr. Rajat, and Dr. Sridath. They are graduates from IIT Madras and award-winning researchers and PhDs from Purdue University and the MIT in the US. So when they were in their process of applications, they did not have any professional guidance. So all they had was advice from seniors and their own research. So with that aim, they wanted to be of help of to you and to students like you and working professionals like you, so that they could help you in reaching your dream university. So with that aim, they came back to India after 5 years in the US, and then they founded Videsh. So that is a little bit about Videsh. And before proceeding further, we will circulate a Google form with all of you. The aim of this form is to understand if you are a student or a working professional and which field of study you are in. Okay, so this is going to help us alter the content of the webinar, so accordingly we can filter content accordingly. So fill this form. We are sharing the link of this form in the chat, and I request all of you to fill this form as soon as possible. Okay, so with that, let's get started. These are some of the photos of their accomplishments when they were at IIT and having their PhDs at Purdue and MIT. All right, so today's agenda is I'm going to be taking you through a grad school application and what all is required for the grad school application. May it be you're applying for your masters or PhDs, and a little bit about university shortlisting, which is a very important step considering that we are now in April and you want to apply for next year. And then we will move towards the document part. So SOP, LORs, resume, and then the exams, GRE, TOEFL, IELTS, and a very important topic of research profile. So I will tell you why a research profile is important in your application, and then a little something about long-term mentorship. All right, and then if time permits, we will take a few questions at the end also. So this is a little bit about grad school application. So if you're applying to your master's program, it takes 2 years to complete. And if you're applying to PhD program, it generally takes 4 to 6 years to complete, depending upon the country that you're applying in. So if you're applying to Europe, it generally takes about a year lesser than US. Okay, and then the basic requirements of applying to either masters or PhDs is having a good GPA. Now if you don't have a GPA, I'm going to tell you also how you can offset that not so good GPA. A CV, SOP, 3 LORs, letters of recommendation, a good research profile, and GRE scores if applicable. And a little bit about deadlines. So if you want to apply for the fall cohort of next year, the deadlines will be December of this year. And if you want to apply for spring of next year, the deadlines will be in July of this year. So unless you have decided specifically that you want to apply for spring, it is always better to opt for fall, because the cohort size is much larger and because the summer internship time coincides with the fall semester. Okay, so most of the people generally apply to fall, and spring courses are not easily available for all of the universities in all of the courses. So unless you have a specific reason, it is always better to apply for fall. A little bit about funding now. TA-ship and RA-ship is very common for PhDs, and scholarship is also available. So that
There seems to be some internet connectivity issue from Radhika's end, due to which her video seems to have been paused. Uh, Meanwhile, let me open the presentation from my side and start sharing the screen. Is everyone able to see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I believe we were at this part where we were discussing the different decisions which you have to make before applying for grad school. And the first decision is whether you want to apply for a master's or a PhD. And this decision is not very easy. In my opinion, the only reason why you should be doing a PhD is if you love doing research. If you don't have research experience, then doing a PhD is very risky because it's a 4 to 6 year commitment. So, for example, at MIT, my PhD was for a duration of 5.5 years. And during that time, you work on 1 to 2 topics maximum. So, it can be a difficult journey if you are not aware of what the research process entails, because it takes a lot from your end. Um, and it takes a lot of commitment, it takes a lot of dedication also. I think Radhika is joining again, so let me just admit her. Did she join or not yet?
Uh, she was there in the waiting room. Yes, I think she has joined. Um,
Radhika, have you joined the call? Can you see?
Yes, I have joined. Sorry for the technical glitch. Okay, I'll start sharing my screen once again.
Okay.
okay, sure.
Can you please make me co-host so that I can share my screen? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now you should be able to share.
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
No, not yet.
Just a minute. It should be visible now. I'm sharing once again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now it's visible.
Okay, so I was on the topic of university shortlisting and why it is important. So, if you have not started to shortlist your universities, you should do that right now, because now is a good time. We are in the month of April and you should start shortlisting your universities now itself. Okay, so I would suggest you to make a list of 25 to 30 universities of your choice. And what we at Videsh do is we go by the easy medium dream rule. So I suggest you make an Excel sheet with the leftmost column as the name of the university, and as you move towards the right, you can start filling out all the information related to the universities. Now this information is available on the university website. Okay, so starting from column 3 onwards, all the information is generally available on the university website. Okay, the column 2 is a very important part of the university shortlisting process, because we are now going to select 9 or 10 universities out of the 25 to 30 universities that we've chosen, okay, by the easy medium dream rule. Now you can do this at the end when you've completed with all the documentation part. You can classify the universities as easy, medium, and dream universities are generally universities that are hard to get into, but then they are your dream universities, okay. So that is something you can do, and I suggest you start making this Excel sheet from today itself, okay. So university shortlisting is a very important part of your application process. We now move towards the documentation part of the graduate school application. The first document is the statement of purpose, okay. So the statement of purpose is basically a very detailed essay about yourself, and for your better understanding, we have segmented the SOP into 4 parts. So the thread, the hook, the supporting cast, and casting the net. So I will take you through all of these 4 parts and what they essentially mean, so that it will help you to write your SOP, okay. So it's not just this very jumbled essay that you have to just keep on writing, but then this will give you a complete idea on how you can segment it and write it properly, okay. So the first part is the thread. What is the thread? So the thread is the vision. What is your vision? You have to write that in your SOP. So I will just demonstrate this with an example. This is Dr. Raj's snippets of his SOP, and the thread in his SOP was that he wanted to create an impact through the field of fluid mechanics, okay. So that was his thread, and it's okay if your thread keeps repeating itself at different occasions in your SOP, because that is something that ties it together, okay. And every part of this of your SOP should link to the thread, should link to your vision. So his thread was that he wanted to create an impact through fluid mechanics, and that is something that he mentioned in his SOP from time to time, okay. So this is the vision of your SOP. Just keep this in mind. The next is the hook. So the hook is, I would say, the most important part of your SOP, and that is, I would say, few of your greatest strengths that you're proud of and you would like to showcase. Now here it is very important to showcase yourself and to upsell yourself, and here I would strongly suggest that it is important that you either have a conference or journal publication, or you have a prestigious internship or fellowship of or some prestigious firm that you've worked in before, so that you can write it as the hook. So this is basically the most important part in your SOP, okay. So this is the hook. I will again demonstrate this with an example. So this is Dr. Raj's SOP, and the hook in his SOP that was that he had submitted a paper to the Journal of Fluid Mechanics. So this is a very prestigious journal in the field of fluid mechanics, and he wanted to highlight it. So this was his hook. He'd also attended the fluid mechanics conference in 2016 in Spain. So he made sure that he wrote that, and that was also his hook. So find out that hook in your profile from your undergrad studies that you can write in your SOP, because this is something that is very, very important, and this is something that is going to highlight your SOP and your application, okay. So make sure that you highlight the hook and you first find out what the hook is, okay. This is about the hook. And the third part is the supporting cast, okay. So by supporting cast, I mean, we all have done things in our undergrad that we are extremely proud of, but they're not somehow related to the field of study that we are applying to, right? So for example, in Dr. Raj's case, he had an internship in solar panels in a prestigious firm, ITC, but then that was not related to fluid mechanics at all. But still, he was proud of it and he wanted to mention it in his SOP, right? So he did that, and he wrote that also in his SOP, and that became his supporting cast. So this was not somehow related to the fluid mechanics field, but then this is the supporting cast, and he wanted to mention that in the SOP because this is also his achievement, right? This is also something that he had achieved. Now find that supporting cast that you have in your profile and just write it down, okay? So I would suggest write a point-based SOP first and then expand it into these 4 parts, okay? So this is the supporting cast, and the 4th part is casting the net. Now this is exactly where you make your pitch and you tell the university why you're a good fit for them, how you are beneficial to them, and how they are beneficial to you. So it's a two-way street, right? And that is how you have to make your pitch. You also have to tell them how you will make contribution to the university. And how can you do that? You can do that by studying some of the research groups in that particular university, mailing the professor and researching about the professor. So that is how you can tell the university how you can add value to their university, right? And then later on you can also say how they will benefit you, right? So mention both the things in this fourth part. So this will be the last part, and this paragraph will actually be your final pitch in your SOP. Okay, so these four parts constitute an SOP. And when you will write an SOP going forward, now I want you to remember that the SOP is divided into four parts: thread, hook, supporting cast, and the pitch. Okay, so make sure you have mentioned all of these points when you are writing the SOP. Okay, so some do's and don'ts when you're writing the SOP. So don't be cheesy, okay? So it does not work. Don't mention quotes by famous people. It does not work. The university and the admissions committee want to know who you are, okay? So don't really write something that somebody else has written, and be your authentic self, okay? So that is very important. And the most important part is don't get your SOP reviewed from random people. Okay, that is also very important. Only if you don't have a professional mentorship like Videsh or any other firm, get it reviewed from your seniors or with someone who have actually gone through the process. Okay, it is important that you don't let random people review your SOP, because that is going to confuse you. Okay, that is important. And then now we move towards the letter of recommendation. Again, letter of recommendation is a very, very important part in your graduate school application. And letter of recommendation is judged by the diversity, the strength, and how coherent it is with the rest of the documents. Okay, so by diversity, what do I mean? That you generally need 3 letters of recommendation. Okay, and it is important that 2 of them are from your undergrad professors and 1 is from your a manager or somebody in the internship that you've worked with. So what is this diversity doing for you? How is it helping you? Okay, so it is telling the admissions committee that you are recommended by people from academia also and from the industry also. So it tells them that you're a diverse person and you can handle all the responsibilities. So it gives you your impression as a very good impression, and it generally tells a very good story about yourself. But make sure that this SOP and LOR are coherent with each other and they are telling the same story. Okay, a strength of the SOP is also very important when you are looking at a strong LOR. So I will just show you Dr. Sridatt's LOR. I just want you to, show an example of what a strong LOR looks like. So on my screen, you can see this LOR that was written for Dr. Sridatt while he was studying his PhD at MIT. So you can see that this is a 2-page long LOR, and this is giving an impression of Dr. Sridatt as a very technically sound person, a person with good soft skills, a person with good leadership skills. So okay, so it is projecting him as a good person from all angles. So okay, so this is just an example that I wanted to show you by telling you that how a strong LOR looks like. Okay, so this is just an example. Another important point about a strong LOR I want to tell you is that sometimes the professors don't have time to draft your LORs. Okay, so at that time you can take advantage of that situation, and what you can do is you can draft this LOR and send it to these professors, and they can then review it and send it to the admissions committee if they think it is fine. So if your professor is not suggesting such a thing, you can politely ask them if it is possible that you draft an LOR, and if it is possible that they can check it. Okay, so that will give you more control and that will help you glorify your achievements. Okay, and it is important, again I'm saying this once again, that you are coherent with your SOP. Okay, and even if you are not getting to draft your LOR, it should still be coherent with your SOP. So a strong, this is just on the screen, I'm showing that how a generic LOR looks like and how an exceptional LOR looks like, right? So a generic LOR looks something like this, very ordinary, very to the point. There is no glorification, there is no strong adjectives here. And on the right, you can see that there are a lot of strong adjectives used. You can also see it in the next slide. So there are a few examples of how a generic and how an exceptional LOR would look like, okay? And believe me, an exceptional LOR casts a very good impression on the admissions committee, okay? So make sure that you are writing a glorified LOR and it is coherent with your SOP. Again, with the resume preparation, this is again, a resume is a shortened version of your SOP. Okay, so these three documents, SOP, LOR, and resume, should be coherent with each other. Now, since a resume is a very short version of your achievements and your accomplishments, it's not a 2-3 page long essay, I still want to tell you how to write a resume, a very coherent and crisp, brief resume. Okay. So this is basically your 30 to 60-second pitch to your university, and it should on the first page include your publications, conferences, your academics, your research internships. So again, you know, these things are very, very important to cast a good impression on the admissions committee. If you've received any awards, if you've done any research internships. So I'll just show you what a good resume looks like. So on my screen, you can see that, you know, on the left and on the right. So look at the resume on the right, how Dr. Sridath has written his publications on the first page. And if you notice that he's mentioned a link to his portfolio website also. So I'm going to show you why a portfolio website is important. A portfolio website is a website about yourself. It highlights your achievements. It gives you all the details, all the accomplishments, awards, everything that you've achieved. I'll take you through that in my later slides also. And it is important to give that hyperlink of your portfolio in this resume, right? So that is also very important. Another important point I would like to show you is that it is fine if you don't have any paper published by the time of your submission. Okay, it is okay if you just write that your product paper is in preparation or it has been submitted to the journal. But again, remember that has to be the same story should be told in the LOR also. Okay, so that is how the admissions committee is going to test your credibility. If you are mentioning in your resume that the paper is submitted or it is in preparation, you have to mention, you have to make sure that your professor is writing the same thing in the LOR. Okay, so that is very, very important, a very important point. And it's okay if it is not published yet. And another important point is the advantage of mentioning this link in your resume is that now consider that you're applying in December and the admissions committee is reviewing your application in February. Okay, so there are like 2 months where your paper might have gotten published, it might have been accepted in some journal, there might have been a lot of progress that you want to showcase, but then what to do, right? Your application is already submitted. Now you can update your portfolio website, and then this will give a very you know, real-time vision to the admissions committee, because you can update your portfolio website, and when the admissions committee is reviewing this link, when they're clicking on this link, they are seeing the updated version. So this is one more advantage that I want to highlight upon. It works wonders, and it helps you to update your status also, right, without informing the admissions committee. Okay, so it is very important that you mention the link here and that you have a portfolio website also. So on the resume, it is important to mention your publications, your patents, if any research internship that you've done, because that also adds a very good impression to the admissions committee. And something about the length of the resume now. So now for masters, if you're applying for masters, a 2-page resume is good enough. if you're applying to PhD, it is fine if the resume is a 3-page long document, okay? Because the third page is going to be all about your research if you're applying for PhD, okay? So that is something that I want to emphasize on. So key elements of an impactful resume, make sure you write your research experience. If you have any teaching experience, it helps if you're applying to PhD. And make sure you're giving detailed explanation of research, okay, and with quantifiable metrics. And be very brief, be very specific, okay, because that is very important. And like I said, a portfolio website makes a lot of impact. It is very, very useful to have a portfolio website, okay. Now, if your GPA is strong, make sure you are highlighting that in your resume, okay? For those students or working professionals, if your GPA is strong, make sure that you are highlighting that. Make sure you're highlighting the courses taken also, okay? And then also highlight any entrepreneurial activities if you're doing, or like I said, if any teaching experiences that you're having in your undergrad, if you're applying for PhD. So make sure you're highlighting your points, okay? So like I said, this is the hook of your SOP, and make sure you are mentioning the hook of your SOP in the first page of your resume, okay? So these 3 documents go hand in hand with each other. And some do's and don'ts about the resume that I already mentioned for the SOP is that about the length. The length is very important. Don't stretch it too long, because it is a resume and it is supposed to be a brief and concise version. Again, don't get it reviewed from random people. Only get it reviewed from seniors if you don't have a professional mentor with you. And make sure you don't include any personal things like your gender, your marital status and anything, because the admissions committee is very, very fair, okay? It is going to generally cast a negative impression if you mention all these personal things, okay? So refrain from doing that. Don't mention that in your resume, right? Like I keep saying, the SOP, LOR, and the resume should tell the same story. They should be coherent with each other, and there should not be any kind of differentiation or discrepancy in any of these documents. So they should be completely coherent with each other, okay? Because that is going to add credibility to your profile, okay? So something about the GRE, TOEFL, and IELTS. Now, a lot of universities we've seen over a couple of years that they've started to waive off GRE scores, and a lot of universities have waived off GRE. I've also made a specific video for that. I will mention the link of that video in the description of this recording. So make sure you watch that video. But then again, the GRE takes about 3 or 4 months to prepare. Okay, and we at Videsh, we would suggest that you spend your time instead building your research profile, okay? Because generally most good universities have waived off GRE because they have realized that GRE is not an only way to understand if a student is qualified to enter their graduate program or not. So instead, I would ask you to instead prepare your research profile, okay? But if you decide to give the GRE, it is, this is something that can help you with, I've mentioned in the video links like Magush and GregMat that help you with the preparation. And there is another English proficiency test also that is required by most universities, that is the TOEFL or the IELTS. Now, the TOEFL or the IELTS is a comparatively easy exam and takes about 2 or 3 weeks of preparation, okay? So it has 4 sections: reading, writing, listening, and speaking, okay? So these 4 sections are, I would say, the total exam of TOEFL is marked at 120, and if you score something about 105, it is good enough, okay? And this is a comparatively easy exam than GRE, so you're not going to be spending too much time in preparation, okay? So that is something that about the exams. And this is, like I said, the Magush app is a very popular app among students to learn the words. They have these flashcards that you can do on the go, and they have these mock tests also. So this is, and the website GregMat also, they have a very cheap subscription price, so a lot of students prefer that also. So in case you're planning to give your GRE or TOEFL exams, you should consider these sources of preparation. Now we move on to a very important topic of this webinar, that is the research profile. Now, a research profile is something that is extremely important for you. Now, why is it important? Because generally, if you're applying for masters, it is possible that you're not expected to do research in your undergrad. Okay, and if you have a research profile, it is going to be very impactful. Okay, so I'll tell you what a research profile consists of and why it is important and how you can build your research profile. So now all of us have done projects in our undergrad. Okay, so now these projects also can be converted into a research paper, a review paper, and it is important that you don't write these projects as projects in your resume and you convert them into a research profile. Now this is something that I mean by telling you building a research profile. So either if you have a project, you convert it into a research paper, or you write a research or review paper from scratch that you can later on submit and get published. Okay, that so that you can write in your publication section. Again, like I said, it is important that it's completely fine if your paper is not published also. So that is also completely okay. It's fine if it is just in preparation or submitted, right? So a research profile, like I said, a project, everybody has done project. So it is important that this project is either converted into a paper, and if you have an international internship or a research internship that has a research outcome, then that is also going to add a substantial value to your application. Okay, so that is also something that is considered as a research profile. International internships are also have a very good weightage. But the most important thing of a research profile constitutes of publications, conferences, and patents. Okay, so publications are something that the paper you submit in a journal and you get it published. So these are publications. Conferences, if you attend a conference of a particular journal of a very famous journal, so that is a conference. And patents, if you have any patents on your name. Okay, even if you don't have any of these three, it's fine, it's completely fine. Your research profile can be built. That's not a problem. And I'll tell you how. So like I said, it is very important that your resume looks like something on the left than on the right. So it is important that you mention publications, conference in your resume rather than just mentioning 1 2 3 4 5 projects. Okay, so that is going to give your profile a weightage, and that is going to give you a competitive advantage as compared to the rest of your peers. Because when you are submitting to these universities, right, when you're submitting your applications, you are going to be competing with candidates all around the world. It is a very tough competition out there, and that is why it is important that your profile stands out. And how is your profile going to stand out? By building a research profile, right, by having publications and by having conferences. Like I said earlier, it is okay if you don't have a publication but your papers are in preparation. So this is Dr. Raj's resume, and notice how he is written that his paper is in preparation. Now this paper got published after he applied to all the universities, but when he was applying at the time, the his paper was in preparation. So it is important that you write the paper and you submit it, or that the paper is in preparation. That is completely fine. You still have a publication section in your resume, which is very important. So how do you publish? How do you add that publication section in your research profile, right? So there are three ways to do that. You can either write a journal paper, you can either write a research paper, you can either write a review paper, or you can submit preprints. Okay, so what is a research paper? A research paper is a paper with completely new research outcomes. A review paper is a literature review study summary, but having a very good weightage. So these two ways you can publish your paper in the next months, and you can start doing that from now itself. So these two ways you can write a paper. And then third is preprints. So generally the students submit their papers first to a preprint like archive, and then because the reviewing process is much lenient on archive, and then they submit to a journal. Okay, so let me just show you an example. So this is the this Excel sheet basically shows the timeline with which how we help students write a review paper or a research paper. Okay, so this is a very detailed timeline which is divided into first identifying a topic. So right from identification of a topic, we are helping you to first shortlist 2 or 3 topics of your interest, and then we are helping you select a topic. Okay, and then do a literature study by reviewing the first 25 papers to identify the story, and then we move to the paper outline. So the important part of writing a paper, we move towards the outline. In that we help you to write the abstract, title, tables, figures. So this is just a pointed bullet pointed version of the paper. And then after the outline is done, we help you to expand this version into a full-fledged manuscript. Okay, and then it goes back and forth by depending on the feedback that the students receive. So at the end, a complete paper is prepared and it is submitted. Okay, so this is how the process works. And the review paper also, it works the same thing. Like, you first identify your topic, and a review paper, like I said, is a summary, okay, of 50 to 60 research papers written on a particular topic. So it is a literature summary, right? So it also has a very, very good impact and a very, very good weightage, and it is highly respected. And our students have got admits into very good universities by writing review papers as a first author. Okay, so that is also possible, and completely possible in the next 3 or 4 months, right? So you can think about either writing a research paper or a review paper, depending upon the projects that you're already doing. You can convert these projects into a research or a review paper. And then, like I said, you can submit it to a preprint. So you can submit it to archive.org. And like I said, the reviewing process of the preprint is much lenient, so as compared to the actual journal. So we encourage our students to first submit their papers to a preprint. Okay. So like I said, you can also convert your course project into preprints. You can convert them into a paper and submit it to a preprint. Okay, so you don't have to think about a new topic when you're writing your papers. Your already existing projects can be converted into preprints. Now, a little bit about the long-term mentorship program. So, the vision of the Videsh long-term mentorship program is to help you on 2 aspects. First is building a strong research profile, and second is crafting a strong application. Okay, so the first part of the LTM is very crucial for the students, where they actually write a research or review paper. So this course takes approximately 3 to 4 months. And here I just want to show you, on the left, you can see the initial crude version written by a student who had no experience in research paper or a review paper. And on the right, you can see how the final submitted version of the paper looks like, right? So there is a very, very stark difference between the 2 papers, and it is very important that the paper is written in a particular form. Okay, so that is very important, and we help you with that. We help you to glorify the paper and to match it to where it can be published, right? So this is something on the right where we had submitted the paper to a journal. Now I want to talk about building a portfolio website. So when I was talking about resume earlier, and I mentioned about writing, mentioning the link in the resume, in the publications part, what I meant was the link is going to direct the admissions committee here to the portfolio website. So what does this portfolio website have? So it tells you about, it tells them about yourself. So you can mention all your publications, all your awards, achievements. You can even add photos here, whatever you want. And like I said, you're going to get a 2-month advantage, because whatever progress you're doing in 2 months, you can keep on updating your portfolio website. Okay, and the admissions committee is going to see the updated version. So you're getting like kinds of a hands-on, upper hand here, right? When you have a portfolio website. And most of the students don't have a portfolio website, but if you do, it is very, very important that you build a good portfolio website. You talk about everything, all the hooks in your resume are mentioned here, because an SOP is just a essay, but your portfolio website is going to give you the photos, your achievements, your publications, about everything, right? So make sure you have a good portfolio website. So that is why it is very important. And this, I just want to show you with this slide how coherent should your SOPs, resumes, and LORs be. It is very important that these three documents are coherent and they tell the same story, right? It's okay that there is, if there is some repetition in your SOP and your resume, it's completely fine. But if this is not coherent, then immediately it's going to distract the admissions committee and they are not going to find your profile credible. Okay, so it is important, keep a double check on maintaining the coherency of these three documents. Okay, it is very important. Again, like I said, for building your research profile, when you're maintaining this Excel sheet, you can also mention, like I said, the hook of your your SOP and why you are beneficial to the university. So casting the net, the final pitch, the research programs you can mention on the extreme right of this Excel sheet. So whatever research programs you're interested in, the professor names, which professors you're going to get in touch with, their email IDs, you can mention it on the right hand side of this Excel sheet. So you have all the information in the first place, and whenever you want to get in touch with these professors, you can just use your email IDs from this Excel sheet. Okay, so make sure you're adding all the research that you have done on the particular university, their research lab, in this particular Excel sheet of University Shortlisting. Okay, so that is very important. And after you do that, it is very important to bifurcate them into easy, medium, and dream universities. Generally, we ask students to shortlist 10 universities, and we ask them to apply to 9 or 10 universities with 3x3 rule: easy, medium, and dream. So this is just a very, I would say, basic example of how you should sell yourself. And this is something I'm sure all of you will be remembering going forward. Okay, so you should be selling yourself like the banana mentioned on the rightmost of the slide. So it is important that you are selling yourself, you're upselling yourself and not downselling yourself, because most of us are literally downselling ourselves and we are not confident enough to boast about our achievements. Okay, so have that faith, have that confidence in yourself and upsell yourself. Okay, so remember this image for upselling yourself. So LTM of 2025 has already started, and right now we are in the month of April. So this is the perfect time to enroll in the long-term mentorship program by Videsh, because this is essentially going to work on two things. The phase one is going to give you those 3 or 4 months to build your research profile, to write a research paper or a review paper that is going to complete at the end of July, and another month or so you will take to perfect your application. So all the document part like SOP, LOR, portfolio building and everything is going to take 1 month or so, 1.5 months. So essentially we plan to make you ready by early September with everything that you need for your application. Okay, so this is the perfect time to get started with your research profile so that you can move further. And like I said, the course of the research profile takes about 3 months. So essentially we aim to write a review paper with you as the first author, and we aim to submit it at the end of 3 months. Okay, so what do we do? Like I said, everything right from the basics like identifying the story to the paper outline and to submission and post submission, we take care of everything. Okay, so this is the phase one of the LTM program. The phase two is perfecting the application. So all these points will be taken care of in the phase two of the LTM program. But that is when you have build your research profile. Okay, because that is something that can't be done over a period of 1 month. Research profile takes time, and that is why we encourage students to get started with the research profile first. So this is just a profile analysis tool that you will receive upon your enrollment to the Videsh LTM. So this is just for us to know how well versed you are with research, if you are a complete beginner, or if you have an experience in research, we would like to know that and mention, if you get enrolled in the LTM, we'll send you this form, and make sure you enter as much details as possible, and it is important for us to assess your profile. Okay, so this is the form. And a little something about us. We have done a lot of work with our students for the last 2 years, and we have 54 plus review papers and 12 plus research articles already submitted. We are collaborating with over 150 projects with the students, and we've written over 120 SOPs, 60 resumes or so, a lot of LORs also we have drafted for students. And we have a Discord community where if you are enrolled in the LTM program, you get connected with your peers. So it is a very interactive community, and that is how you can interact with your peers. Okay, because the admits have started coming in for 2025, and the Discord community is extremely active during this period, and it is a very good way for the students to know where their peers have gotten into. So it's a very good community. And just a few sample papers from last year's. Now, I want to highlight the fact that these students had no prior experience in research. They had no prior experience in building a research profile, but these are the papers they've come up with, right? So it is, if you are a complete beginner, if you don't have any experience in building a research profile, that is completely fine. It is possible to write a paper, and that is why I wanted to show you some sample papers by the students who had no experience in research. Okay, so this is again some more papers and some more pride that we have in our students, because all credit goes to them. And even if they had no experience in research, they've come up with such amazing papers, which some of the papers have even gotten published in journals, right? So that is a completely amazing feat, and they've proudly added that to their resume. Okay, so that has become the hook of their SOP also. Okay, this is some of the testimonials that we have got in 2023-24, and like I said, the admits of 2025 are also coming in. So we are extremely proud to that our students have got into CMU, Cornell, UC Chicago, Johns Hopkins, a lot of good universities, and we are extremely proud of our students. Again, a few testimonials. Now you can see the testimonials on our Videsh page also, flyvidesh.com. You can go on our website and check out the video testimonials also. So some of the students have given their video testimonials also, so you can check that out. And these are just some of the universities that our students have gotten into. So there are a lot more universities than this, but this is only something that a slide could fit into. So these are the universities, and we are extremely proud of all our students. Again, a few testimonials from our students, and a lot of credit goes to them and to their efforts that they put in for the entire year for achieving this feat. So we are extremely proud of our students as well. And something that we will help you with. So we will help you to identify good and easy problem statements, and that is how you will start with building your research profile. Okay, so if you're not sure which problem statement I should go ahead with, we will help you with identifying that. We will teach you how to write papers, and we will also help you to set a realistic timeline. So the Excel sheet that I showed you before, we will help you with a detailed Excel sheet of the same. Okay, and then we will help you to figure out how to submit to the journal. So depending on which journal is suitable for your particular paper, we will help you with that as well. So all the right from the start to the end of the review paper, we will help you with everything. Okay, so this is just a glimpse of the life at MIT, and these are photos of Dr. Sridath. So it is just to give you an idea that once you get admitted to these universities, how your life will look like. So universities like MIT have a very good culturally diverse background, and you get to interact with a lot of people from different communities, and it is a completely life-changing experience. Okay, so this is just something to motivate you. And then again, if you are interested in the long-term mentorship program, you can send us a mail to hello@flyvidesh.com. But please don't send us one-liners. Send us mails in detail with mentioning your name, your details of work study, when you're planning to apply, and why you are interested in LTM. Okay, so mention all these details, because we get a lot of one-liners every day saying that, hey, I'm interested in the LTM program. So it is not possible to reply to those one-liners. It is important that you mention in detail about your profile, and also, if possible, attach a resume. So whoever is working here, we would like to see the resume also, because that will help us to assess your profile better. Okay, so so now we are at the end of the webinar, and if you have any questions, I think we have 8 minutes or so left, so I think we can take 2 or 3 questions. And our co-founders, Dr. Raj and Dr. Rajat, are also in the call with us. So I'll stop sharing my screen, and over to you, Dr. Raj and Dr. Rajat.
Yeah, maybe I'll take 1 or 2 questions. So one thing which I would like to really mention here is the importance of research profile, both for masters as well as for PhD degrees. And now that the admits for last year have started coming in, there are people who have got admits into CMU, Yale, Stanford, Berkeley, top universities from our LTM program. And the one common thing between all of them is that they have a good research profile. And although their GPAs are also good, the GPAs can range from let's say 8 to 9, 9.5 and very high. But the one common thing among all these students is the strong research profile. So right now it's April, right? And if you're applying the fall of 2026, the deadline will be in December. So you still have around 6 months, 6 to 7 months. And the one thing which you should focus a lot during this time is building the research profile, whether it's a master's application or whether it's a PhD application. And that really, really pays off a lot. It's extremely helpful. Then there is one more question, that is it advisable to cold email the profs? So this is always like, sometimes it helps, but there is no guarantee that it will actually help. For example, before I applied, I got admitted to 8 universities, but I did not get a response from any professor actually. And I was very disheartened because of that, that why are not professors not replying me? It's just that they are very busy. They get 100 emails every day, and so your email might be lost. But that's in no way an indication that your profile is not good. Remember that the professors whom you email are detached from the admissions committee. The admissions committee makes the decision. In some cases, if you reach a professor, they may influence the admissions committee, but that's very rare. So it's fine even if you don't email the professors, just work on the things which are in your control. And one of those things is building a research profile. So Rajat, if you want to take any more questions. You're muted. Okay, I think there is some gap in the unmute.
Yes, yes. Yes, I was muted. Mm, okay, let me take some questions from the chat.
So there is one question that can I manage to create a research profile with 9 to 7 current job? Yeah, so in the LTM program, actually more than half of the candidates are working professionals. So it's those people who want to apply to grad school after, let's say, 2 years or 1 year or 3 years of work experience. And they are in a good situation because work experience always helps. And now, if you are a student or a person with work experience as well as research experience, then it's the best, because then you can show that you have contributed in a professional capacity, plus you have a publication. That leads to a very strong hook in your profile. Yeah.
Yeah, there is a question about how to add the publication section in your resume. So how we had done it is that in your resume, typically in the first page itself, you should add a section named publications. or you can name it publications and conference presentations also. And within that section, you should add all the research works that you have worked on. It can be a combination of the works that you have submitted, the works that are under preparation, and the works which have been accepted in the journal. But you have to mention specifically in the bracket what is the type of the paper, whether it's submitted or it is accepted. Also, conference presentations greatly help. There might be conferences which are happening locally in India also. Those also help. International conferences, of course, count a lot, but even national level conferences, I think all of you should aim to attend at least one conference in your field before you apply. Whether it's you yourself presenting or whether it's your professor presenting, it doesn't matter. But having that conferences section shows the admissions committee that you are a person who can not only do research, but you can confidently present your work also in an academic conference. And that point you can then mention in your SOP as well. All of this, it helps if your professors give you an LOR saying that if the work is under preparation, then the professor has also validated that statement, which has to be specifically mentioned in the LOR that okay, this particular student has actually worked with me and we have written a very nice paper which is submitted to this journal. So that will also help a lot.
Yeah, maybe I'll take one more last question, which is related to scientific ML bootcamp versus LTM. So along with the long-term mentorship program, there is another program which we have. That's actually the scientific machine learning bootcamp. So I'll just share my screen to show that. So if you take a look at this, this is the SciML bootcamp. I'll also paste the link in the chat. This bootcamp is one of our most highly rated and highly accessed programs over the last 1.5 years. So if you scroll down below, you'll see that the program which most people enroll for is the researcher plan over here. Because here we guide students to publish a research paper, which really helps them in grad school admits. And this is specifically for machine learning. If you're in any other domain, then you can go for the long-term mentorship program. But if you're in the ML domain, do check out this bootcamp. There is no other such bootcamp in the world right now. All right, I think now we are at time 8 p.m. so we can end this webinar. I just want to thank Radhika for conducting this incredible session. And if there are any more doubts or questions, please email us at hello@flywithesh.com. Or if you are interested in the long-term mentorship program, please email us at hello@flywithesh.com. Thanks, everyone. I look forward.
Thank you, everyone. Bye. Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.